Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search from my site. I fed hungry New Yorquiños tonight with the app Grubhub. And now it's 1 a.m. I just had a Victoria Mexican big bottle of beer. I have hiccups, and I decided this is the best moment to tell the story because I know when I wake up tomorrow, it will not be worth telling. So first, there's this. I had a conflict with a simple transportation thing between me, bicycle on a sidewalk, which is illegal, almost collision with a pedestrian. He is legal. But first, this idea of conflict, winners and losers. Conflict sometimes ends with winners, but rarely ends with the idea that there is a clear winner and any good reason to believe that the other party is the loser. So, for example, Midnight Cowboy, Dustin Hoffman, and Joe Buck, they're crossing the street. A cab driver almost hits him, honks the horn, and Dustin Hoffman says, "I'm walking here." And it's a famous line. It's funny. It's perfectly scripted for the character that Dustin Hoffman plays. And it's one of the memorable moments of the movie. Dustin Hoffman's character is clearly the winner. But there is no sense that the cab driver drives away thinking he has lost anything. So these silly collisions, moments of conflict, feel best when there's a sense of victory, but there's a winner and a loser. And that's what happened tonight. So I won't over-describe the details, but anyone who rides a bicycle on a sidewalk can understand this. I do most of my deliveries on the sidewalk with long trips, like from World Trade Center on the lower west side all the way up to the north side on the east, north of the Manhattan Bridge on the east side. And I was on the sidewalk the whole time. So anyone that either rides on the sidewalk or has a sense of what it's like, I'm trying to pass this pedestrian, but suddenly he's not walking straight. He starts veering into the street, but he doesn't stop and look. He just, and next thing you know, we're in a near collision. I hit my brakes, and we don't collide. I stop in time. In addition to riding on the sidewalk, I don't ride like a maniac on the sidewalk. I ride slow. I'm riding this 45-pound share bike, and it has excellent brakes, so I stop instantly. I don't hit him. But he reacts like it's this huge thing, and he's pissed, and "You're on the sidewalk!" He screams at me. So partially motivated by the stand your ground thing, I drop the bike to the ground between us and step back into the street. Now, this is not thoughtless, spontaneous, and reckless that I step into the street. I knew what I was doing. I had my head about me. I wasn't stepping into traffic. I knew which direction. I was on Williams. One of the reasons I'm on the sidewalk is going the wrong way from traffic. So now I'm in the street. Bicycle is between us. The man who screamed at me about being on the sidewalk, now the bicycle has fallen between us. I'm in the street. He's on the sidewalk. Bicycle's between us. My hands go up in the air, and I say, "Is this going to be a citizen's arrest?" So that kind of tones it down a little bit, and he screams, "You almost hit me." So my response is, "I gave you plenty of warning." And he says, "This is where the tables turned. This is where the tables turned, navigating me towards a W and him toward an L." So he says, "I have headphones on." I say, that was my in. You have headphones on, you're not wearing a mask, but I'm at fault. So now again, all the way back to the He clearly has a momentum. We almost collide. I'm on the sidewalk. I'm illegal. He's legal. He screams first. The momentum goes in his direction. But then with these chance events, they're not fully chance. I rehearse this stuff. I do this all the time. When I have these things, I analyze them. I think about it. What would I like to say next time? This just happened to be a series that I'm just thrilled about. So his response is, "I have a mask right here." Well, it's not on his face. So obviously the momentum's gone back first in his direction, now back into my direction, and now as he's walking away, I end up saying, "Hey, weren't you in D.C. on the 6th?" Now he took it at face value and said something like, "What are you talking about?" I said, never mind. There's something seems familiar. I thought you were familiar. So this is where I'm certainly declaring that I got the W on this. But here's why I think he got the L. Because he thought I was serious when I said, "Were you in D.C. on the 6th?" And instead of having anything to say in response, he walks away, I think, realizing that I wasn't sincere, that I was just being a dick. So again, unlike Dustin Hoffman's moment where he clearly got the W, but the cab driver didn't get an L, this was a W and an L. It was brief. It was a moment. It was no big deal. No one's life was at risk. There were no punches, not even any threats of punches. I was not at risk of getting hit by a car. It was relatively controlled, but yet fun. And so I got to clear my hiccups. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google, find the correct spelling